Hey folks, it's Captain Chandler with your police department. Just wanted to welcome you to the Live with Kenny, where we try to get on here more often than not and just talk about all the good things in Mount Juliet that is happening. So to stay with us, we'll talk about some infrastructure projects, some new developments and businesses coming up, and some upcoming events, and then open it up for something interactive to take questions from you in the comments, and hopefully we can answer any question that you have. So you may see a new face here on the screen. That is Justin Beasley, the city's new public information officer. So, and Kenny, how's your day going, man?
It is going great. Absolutely beautiful day, sunshiny outside in mid
Sure.
80s, and it's Friday. That makes it even better. So everybody can watch some football and relax this weekend. How about you guys?
Yeah, there you go. I everything's good. Kicked it off with Justin this morning at the Green Hill High School homecoming parade. Had a great time with those students, also the students at W.A. Wright Elementary, and just glad it's Friday too, and a beautiful Friday with the sun shining.
We're trying out a new hashtag on
Okay.
Twitter and Facebook. I keep saying "Great Day in MJ," so maybe that sticks. But to answer your question, Kenny, it's a great day in Mount Juliet. Great to be a part of this community. Loving every bit of it. So yeah, it's Friday. It's the weekend. There's a lot to be thankful and happy for.
Absolutely.
Very cool. And Justin, where do you come from, right? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I come from a local news background. My dream, I guess, in college was to be a sports reporter. I was able to achieve that dream in my first two jobs in Paducah, Kentucky, and Nashville. Since COVID happened, I kind of left the sports world and dove into the actual local news world, which kind of led me to this county. I covered a lot of Sumner and Wilson County. I was thankful to meet a ton of great people in both counties. Rubbed elbows, I guess, the right people that led me to this opening.
Awesome.
And as I tell people, that the public information officer is a fancy title. I basically run communications. And even simpler way to say that is I do the same thing as I did at my last job as I do at this job. I'm able to tell stories, except now they're all positive, being able to uplift people in the city and get the good word out. I don't think it's too difficult of a job because there's so many things to brag about within
Sure.
the city. I'll also have other responsibilities of handling media obligations with fire, public works, anything within the city. You might have seen me do that in the last couple of weeks already, which is a quick turnaround. And I'll also be getting a lot of tutorials and training with grant writing, hopefully able to capture a lot of that money that's out there for municipalities such as ours to improve parks, millions of things that other cities are fighting for and trying to grab. I'm going to be competing and hopefully winning and grabbing a lot of that. So that's the simplest way to describe my job and those three components. And I'm certainly excited to work with you, Captain Chandler, and Kenny Martin, and everyone else. It's a great leadership team here. I just don't want to mess it up.
Hey, man, you've been doing a great job. The stuff you've been putting out so far has been really highlighting a lot of our employees and stuff that really Mount Juliet may not be aware of what makes Mount Juliet tick and run so well and is so beautiful. So we appreciate you. We're glad you're here, and I hope you truly have a great time and enjoy it. I've got one question for you though. Is Joe Dubin your dad? Because I get the same question and I cannot properly answer that. So where does that come from?
That first started, we were in a Boston airport covering the Titans at the Patriots. And
Okay.
he said, he's like, hey, just smile for this picture. And I knew he was going to do something goofy with it. And he said, our father-son trip. Well, I think every time that date comes around, there's a repost. And you would be surprised. At least half the people legitimately think that I'm his son. At the time he did that, I was 25. He was 50.
Okay.
I'm half of his size. He's twice as much as me. So literally,
Right.
I'm half of everything he is. But I'm not his son. It's funny. My dad doesn't take offense to it, but he does play into it. Like, did you see your other dad today? How was it? So, that's got some legs of its own. But it's I'm thankful to know him. We had a good time in our time working together, and he loves Mount Juliet. It's the second God's country to him. He lives in Donaldson, so
Sure.
He's a big fan of what we're doing.
Okay, well, good. Well, that answers the question then. So now I can properly
Great question.
answer that when I get it. So good deal. I guess, Kenny, let's talk about some infrastructure projects. There's a lot going on, of course, growing community. We're staying on top of things. And I guess the first one here is the I-40 overpass widening. How is that going?
That's actually going really well. Thank you, Captain, for asking. Appreciate everything you guys do. Going really well. If we had a concrete pour, I believe that was sometime early part of last week. That was pretty interesting to see that happen. That's exciting as well because they're doing the sidewalks and things of that nature, curb and gutter on the western side of Mount Juliet Road. The reason that's exciting is that we can eventually get that traffic that's on the north side of I-40 that's having to get on 40. It'll be a lot simpler once they're moved over to clear up that throughway a little bit better once that happens. But ideally, once they get the new bridge lanes open, what will happen is they'll transition the existing lanes on the bridge over to the new side. So there should never be any shutdown of the lanes at all. What creates some of the traffic is just natural distractions like you'd have in any kind of construction zone. The state in this particular case, the city and the contractor have done a phenomenal job, I think, of keeping the lanes open. But anywhere you got construction, you're going to have some distractions and some delays and things of that nature. Just the visual of what you see sometimes can slow people down. So we just encourage folks to continue to be safe and pay attention when you're going through there. One of the things that's been brought up, and Captain, I know you've heard this before, is about the lines are hard to see.
Right.
And we understand that. We've put a request into the state of Tennessee because of Mount Juliet Road being a state road. Anything that's done on the asphalt, we do everything sidewalks and out. The state does everything on the inside of the sidewalks and in. So they have to do that. But the hope is that once that bridge is complete, that it's got not only just new striping, but hopefully also reflectors, so you can sort of, tell a bit better about where you're supposed to be at in the lane when you're crossing the bridge.
Right. I know we get that complaint too, and I know y'all been working hard with TDOT trying to get them out there to make it a little bit easier for folks to see the lines on the road. So
yeah, and let me say this too. I don't want to go on too much because I know we're trying to keep on the counter, but the city literally has right now as we speak, and I want to give our elected body a lot of credit. They set aside about $40 million. And a lot of times our elected body and staff, and not that we want credit, our job is to make sure we're providing a good service for our citizens and being good stewards. But the city purposely has been proactive, even though it may not look like it because you don't necessarily see the road projects overnight.
Sure.
To get Golden Bear project to where it is and to be there for us to use today, probably about 10 to 15,000 cars a day using it. Just imagine if that road hadn't have been built and you were traveling Mount Juliet Road today with an additional 10 or 15,000 cars on it. Infrastructure always unfortunately lags behind, and the reason is you've got to do environmental, engineering, design, stormwater, utilities, right-of-way acquisition, you name it. South Mount Juliet Road, for example, the city has done everything in-house with the design of that particular part of the road, which would go basically from about where Providence Parkway is all the way out past Central Pike. And so we've done all of our part inside. All those pieces I just mentioned have been done, and we've handed the ball off to the state of Tennessee now, and they'll now go from there with right-of-way acquisition, which means before you can widen the road, if it's on somebody else's property, you have to acquire that land. And sometimes the person that's buying it doesn't want to sell it to you. So then you've got, different processes you got to go through. So these projects take a long time, but I just wanted our citizens to know that behind the scenes, our engineering department, public works staff, and most importantly, our elected body has put the money in the budget for us to do all those things. And thank goodness they're doing that. I know you don't see it necessarily, and they take years to come to fruition. The Central Pike Interchange, there's $180 million total in city-approved projects for state roadways like 70, South Mount Juliet Road, Central Pike, you name it. The city has $140 million in just city projects we'd like to take on. That includes the roundabout at South Green Hill. That includes the Western Connector. That includes East Division, Old Leadman Dirt Road, and some other locations. So think about that. There's a lot of moving pieces you don't see necessarily, but there's nothing we want that we feel like probably is pressing beyond public safety is infrastructure. And that's sewer, of course, that's sewer, broadband, water, electric, all of that. But for us, most importantly, is roads.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's what the public likes too, is they like to see those road projects to hopefully keep traffic moving out there. And, part of those road projects are some traffic signals that we have coming on board at some point. I think at Curd Road and Mount Juliet Road, one Lebanon Road, South Green Hill. Is that right? And
that's exactly right.
And the No Call Drive will get one, I believe.
Yep. And the traffic lights on average probably run somewhere about $275,000. And most of these are being done at no expense to the city because they're like the ones out on Golden Bear and things of that nature.
Yeah.
I will give the commission credit again because they set aside about $900,000 to add the signal for these 3 locations that you just mentioned.
Mhm.
And that makes traffic flow a lot better. And a lot of these newer developments that you're seeing coming, for example, there's about an $8 million investment being made in Providence Central, which will help Providence Parkway with the realignment of Adams Lane. There's no cost to the citizens. So those little things that you're going to start seeing in the future and that you're already seeing, just like the widening of Golden Bear, where they went over and took the island out and added the center lane, and some of the traffic signals you've seen on Golden Bear, that was all done at no cost to the taxpayers.
Yeah, very cool. Hey, got a question popped in here because you mentioned the Western Connector from Avery. She's just asking, what is the Western Connector?
Yeah, Miss Avery, that's a great question. It wouldn't be quite as big as what Golden Bear Gateway Parkway is, but what we hope to see at some point in the future is maybe a road that runs parallel or in some ways connected to South Green Hill Road, that you could literally travel from 70 all the way over to Central Pike on the west side of Mount Juliet Road, because we've got to figure out a way to move traffic on the west side of Mount Juliet Road as well to be able to run north and south.
Yeah,
And
that'll
so
be even more helpful too with the new Central Pike interchange that is on now the radar with TDOT and us in
right.
the city.
Yeah. So and the reason this was sort of planned years ago, but then we decided to move forward on the Eastern Connector because we needed help on the east side of Mount Juliet Road, which is what Golden Bear is. So now we're focusing on the western side, and we want to get this done and try to get the properties acquired before they're developed. So, there's a lot of moving parts if you think about that. So we've already identified what we feel like is probably the most likely course. Now it's just a matter when we have our retreat here real soon is for the commission to narrow down what they feel like are the priority projects. Of course, because you can't do $140 million worth of projects overnight.
Sure.
Is to prioritize those, but to be working on them all at the same time, so you're moving the ball forward on each one of those.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Sounds good. And the ball's been moved on some sidewalks and also some street lights. Lebanon Road from, basically around Mount Juliet Road and Nonneville up to the Green Hill High School down to Park Glen. See some new street lights. I see a lot of new sidewalks, and that was all off a grant, right?
Yes, sir. And
Yeah.
if you think about it, Captain, you've been here a long time. If not too many years ago, say 15 years back, you had very little, probably no greenways and very few sidewalks in the city. And the plan is because folks today enjoy walking, biking, they like the connectivity. So you're going to start seeing more and more sidewalks, more and more street lights, things of that nature. And the reason is because as the captain of the police department, third in command, like I do, those street lights illuminate at night make it much safer for folks that are visiting our business, patronizing our community or whatever, or just coming out to visit friends and family. So you're going to start seeing more of that. The goal is ultimately, if you think about it, that our entire greenway system within the city will not only connect with itself inside our city in every shape, form, and fashion, but possibly even connect with greenways in Metro Davidson County and even Lebanon.
Gotcha. So all one interconnected trail system, I guess. Cool. Very, very good. And
you got to get on that grant writing to make it happen.
Yeah, right. We get Justin on the grant writing to make that happen.
That's exactly right. And I should have mentioned that Justin is also not only he'll be doing a little bit of events coordination, as far as when we have a big function like the Christmas parade or something like that. But another important role for him is to be sort of a detective, I guess you'd say, for the city, to where he goes out and helps look for grants that aren't not necessarily police grants or fire grants or even public works, but grants for other programs that we're not necessarily focused on at this time. Having him and his abilities in-house enables us to focus. And if you can envision fishing and you're throwing a lot of different, you got 20 fishing poles instead of just one, Justin will be able to just go fishing basically for grants, and then hopefully we can lure in as many as we can.
Gotcha. Very cool. And we broke some ground on a fire hall too, right?
We did, and we would have already been much further along on that. But anybody that's out there, if you get to wondering why a lot of things are taking longer now, even if you sit down for a meal or you're getting gasoline or buying groceries, you've noticed there's been some inflation. So a lot of things have went up. Well, that inflation passes on to other things. And the biggest issue we're having right now, along with other builders, if you're building a home or business or whatever, is supply chain. Captain, you probably know that with ammunition and other things you need through the police department. Things just aren't being made as often or in the quantities that we need. For example, the steel for our fire department, it won't be in until February if we're lucky for February. And it used to be you could make an order like that and you'd get it much sooner. So everything's running behind, but you know what? That's the norm that we have to deal with right now, and we just have to accept it and do the best that we can. So our goal is just to get as many things going as we can, because if we're working on them all and we can make little incremental steps, we can make the order on this, we can make the order on this, we can do the pad, we can do the plumbing and the infrastructure and schematics and things of that nature. But yeah, we did break ground on the new fire station. Very excited about that. Again, want to thank the taxpayers and also our elected body for the support that they've given every department with the personnel, because what they want to do, and I think everybody knows that, is to make sure, and then what we want to do as a staff is make sure that our citizens have not only a city they can be proud of, but feel safe in, and it'd be a bit of a sanctuary for them. It's clean, it's healthy, it's safe, and it's something that you're proud of.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're in the process with, our police headquarters and that design phase. And we got some bad news this week about the inflation in regards to that, which we'll probably elaborate later down the road in a couple of weeks. But, it's going to take 2 years for a steel beam to come in, or it may take 8 months for a new police car to come in. But with everything that's going on with inflation and supply chain management, it's really affecting a lot of areas beyond just what you see at a local store. It just keeps expanding and expanding and compounding on things where, we see it as a city having to deal with it and work on some ways to navigate through it as well.
And you're right, like you think of fire apparatus or police cars, think how important that is if 2 or 3 police cars and get crashed out in some shape, form, or fashion, we have to replace them. Well, because of the chip shortage and other shortages, we can't even get the replacement vehicles or the fire cars. We're still waiting on public works vehicles that we need that we don't have. So everybody's facing that, so we're not necessarily bemoaning about it. We understand it.
Sure.
It's unfortunate. It's one of those kind of things that we have to deal with, and it'll hopefully make us stronger. But we appreciate everybody's patience because we're all having to deal with this together. Even the home builders, you name it, everything's higher, and it takes longer to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on to the new developments and businesses. A little bit something happier to talk about growth, right? Than us trying to get equipment here at the city. But I got a big list here. You want to just go through your list, Kenny, about what we have coming on board?
I can, yeah. And thank you so much. And you're right. I mean, it's we're all realistic, and we realize a lot of things that happen in our community, and it frustrates you because we want to see progress and positive things done more frequently. But unfortunately, there's a lot of things outside of our control right now. And everybody out there that's listening, that's watched the news lately, you understand it. It's what we got to deal with. But the good thing about it is we're the second wealthiest county in the state of Tennessee now, which is hard to believe. We have one of the best school systems in the entire country.
Right.
The city ranks and all kinds of rankings. We're shooting for perfection. We know there's some shortcomings with our city, and those are the things we try to work on every day that we talk about in staff meetings or departmental meetings, wherever we're having. We're trying to make things better. And it's apparent, folks have been asking about higher end dining. Well, the higher end dining will come with growth. Unfortunately, to get more people, to get, the PF chains and things of that nature that people want, we have to have employees. And unfortunately, right now there's an employee shortage, not just in Mount Juliet, but in the country in general. Having the workers out there is a tough thing. That makes it hard for businesses to open. For example, we got a restaurant, and I won't name it, right here in town, that literally tried to open in March of 2020. We had a tornado and a pandemic, and that restaurant's really never ever opened. And as we speak right now, it's probably closed. I don't know if the future holds. I hope it opens again, but something will go there eventually. But the good thing is that Mount Juliet is blessed. And I'll name off a couple of businesses. See if I got my notes here to make sure I don't leave anybody out. And I thought for sure I typed those, but
yeah, I mean, I can help you out. Can you have it?
Yeah.
Me? But Restore, Hyper Wellness, Abbott Hotel.
There it is. I found it.
You got it?
Yep. I got it. Yeah, just to name off a few things, to give you an example. We're talking about millions of dollars investment in our community. You think of Amazon, it was $100 million investment. You think of the Hyper Wellness, which is a salon, basically, it'll be going in right beside the ML Rose restaurant. So if you've been over there, you've noticed they've been doing their build out. The Abbott Hotel, which is going in over across from Two Rivers Ford, that's basically a Holiday Inn project. That's one of their brands. That's probably a $25 to $30 million investment. You think of the Autism in Motion. Autism in Motion, is just an absolutely great business to be coming to our community. They're taking that new business center that's right across from West Wilson Middle School, the old school, where they're going to be building the new school here soon. They took that entire building. That was a building of probably about 4 or 5 tenants would have taken individually, and they took that whole space. You also have a couple of doctors that'll be building a new building up there as well, a little bit south of that here real soon. As a matter of fact, just on the other side. There's another little retail building going in there. Andrews Cadillac. Heritage Medical is the big 4-story or 5-story office building that you see going in across from Rocky Williams Dodge Chrysler Jeep. That's a multi-million-dollar investment in our community as well.
Oh, yeah.
We have a new orthopedic practice that'll be coming in at Golden Bear and 40, which is very nice. You have Legacy Point, which is the new development a lot of people have been asking about on Golden Bear right at 40 as well, where they've been doing all the clearing.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be a mixed-use development with retail and mixed use and also medical there, so that you can get a lot of these uses in Mount Juliet without having to travel outside your own community.
Sure.
Providence Central is the development that's going in over behind the, I guess you'd say, Buffalo Wild Wings and sort of in that general area.
Mm-hmm.
That's about a 200-acre development. They're working on the initial phase of that, and that first phase will include about an $8 million roadway project that'll be dedicated to the city, which will help the traffic flow over there.
Right.
And we've already got 2 different tenants that are looking at that particular development. One of them is 100,000 square foot. The other is 40, and both of those are retail oriented. Now, whether or not they come to fruition or not, I don't know. But when you think of buildings that size, I can tell you it makes me think of the big box retailers that a lot of folks want. The corner pub will be opening back up real soon, which we love that because that'll enable Jason's vision for his business to come to reality. Big O Tire, O'Reilly Auto Parts, Camel Car Wash, Wash and Roll, Whataburger, 7-Eleven, and Captain and Justin. It goes on and on. So that's really good for our community because our sales tax have been up, and with an 11-cent property tax, sales tax is what affords us the opportunity to do the things we do in this
right.
city.
And I think we've been getting some great numbers in too with our sales tax numbers, which truly drives the city, and as we're able to keep our own taxes down so we don't burden our community members on taxes.
Exactly.
Because a lot of our community seems to shop local and want to keep them shopping local. So it all just go when you spend money in your city, the money you spend goes back to the city itself. And that's very helpful.
That's
Everything
exactly right.
from our schools to our police, fire, public works, city, you name it. All that's being turned back into the city, and it helps us quite a bit, so we can keep our taxes fairly low.
That's right.
That's great stuff. Justin, what about upcoming events that we have? What do we have with the city up? I know we have, Halloween's coming up, and we get that question every year about this time. When is Halloween? Well, from the past many, many years, Halloween is always October 31st, whatever day that may fall on. So if you're planning on trick-or-treating this Halloween, we are going to recommend and always recommend that it is on Halloween. So it'll be Sunday, October 31st. We do give out times of recommendation, which is 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. And, of course, all of our police officers will be out that evening to keep everyone safe. We'll have reflective wristbands that we will be passing out. It'll be a good night for everyone. So if you wanted to plan on when you think trick-or-treaters will be out, it'll be on the actual date of Halloween, October 31st. What you have, Justin, on your end?
And parks, we'll do a Halloween in the park Saturday, October 23rd. They'll have a costume contest, hay rides, petting zoo, inflatables, vendors, and lots of candy. So that'll be Saturday, October 23rd as well. In addition, parks will also have movie in the park at 6:30. I've never been to that. That'll be the last showing this year, the 1931 version of Frankenstein.
Okay.
What residents can expect. I've done something.
Yeah, that's the year I was born.
I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah.
There's also the spaghetti dinners October 14th and 15th at the Mount Juliet Senior Activities Center. I hear the spaghetti's great, and it's once again, it is back-to-back days of drive-through. You see the times there on your screen. It's good to order ahead. They'll have some delivery times at least that day where you can come and pick up, but I wouldn't risk it. I'd go ahead and get the order in early. Me and Captain Chandler have also done a video on the National Faith and Blue Weekend, which is next weekend. I'll be here Saturday. It's from 8 to 12, meeting at the police headquarters near Charlie Daniels Park. I did a City Beautiful feature a couple of weeks ago, and I was telling Captain Chandler, the little known secret is everybody in the city is part of the City Beautiful team. It's our job to not litter, pick up our trash, and be prideful of where you live in Mount Juliet, which I've seen in my short time here as well. And just a couple of things to add to Captain Chandler on my end. We have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Nextdoor. That if you haven't followed the Facebook, it's going to be a ton of people on there that are going to get a lot of information. So the activity is going to go up on there. So you should be bombarded with information through all 4 platforms of what's going on. We hope that everybody will use those. The parade this morning was pretty awesome as well. I learned a new word from the kids. Valid is the new cool word. And I asked them if the parade was valid. They said it was. And then again, the Halloween thing, as you mentioned. So that's all I have on my list. And I can tell you personally, I've enjoyed getting to know the firefighters and also the police personnel as well. I've been involved with a couple of those things, at least shooting as far as photography. And it's been great to get to know everyone and everyone that makes so many sacrifices here in Mount Juliet. It feels good to be a part of that team because I look up to all those personnel that don't get enough credit in our world, but we're going to change that. We're going to make sure you get a ton of love on our social media pages.
Sure. You may not be covering sports, but we're definitely a team here in Mount Juliet. So, hey, similar concept. We're all working towards those wins and making our community better. And, just like Tanya says here on the comment, MJ is an awesome place to live. And that's just all of our goal. I know it's been Kenny's goal ever since he started here back in 1942.
That's right.
And, all his many years of service, his goal is to make it
1931.
Yeah.
That was his birthday, man. And then he started when he was 10.
That's right. So I started like Captain Chandler. We were just kiddos. Hey, and I noticed a sweet lady right before you that you had up there that she had pink and the ribbon around her picture. And October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, so we will make sure that everybody's aware of that and encouraging folks to get examined and to take those types of things seriously. And you'll probably see some flags up around the city in recognition of that as well. And so I appreciate Miss Tanya for having that on her, looks like on her Facebook page there with the ribbon. But yeah, it's October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So that, and Captain, you probably know this number better than I do, but this Mount Juliet alert that between the police department and our IT department and Travis Taylor, as we call him, Travis Big T Taylor, is absolutely phenomenal. I tell you, I'm getting a lot of good comments about that. I recently signed up for that myself. And if you want notifications about things that's going on in Mount Juliet or about traffic or other issues, can you tell them a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that is, we call it MJ Alert. It's powered through Rave Mobile Safety. And, we had a system that we tried after we lost Nixle due to this crazy amount of cost on their product, and it was app based, just didn't really work well. Our community liked the text based, so we're glad to be now back to a text based system, but it also has an app too. So if folks want an app still and not get the text, they can just download the Smart 911 app on their smartphone. But most people sign up by simply just texting the words MJ, or not really words, just short for Mount Juliet, MJ, to the number 67283. And you're automatically registered to receive those alerts. And then if you want the construction blast alerts, all you have to do is text blast to that phone number 67283. And then you also start getting the construction blasting alert, so you kind of know before the rumble occurs that it's coming, type thing. But it's worked great. We used it very heavily recently during a suspect search, and I believe it was the folks who were connected to those text alerts that helped us find that suspect, because they knew we were looking for him. They then saw this person running through their townhome complex. They then saw this person enter a townhome where he apparently lived, and then they called us about it, and that's super helpful. And we can engage all of our residents to help us keep this community safe, because there's only so many police officers out, at any given time. It ranges, but if I can engage the community all at once, super, super helpful. And that's why we encourage people to sign up. When we had the suspect search, there were 6,000 people signed up. And then since that word continues to get out, we have almost 9,000 people signed up their phones to get those alerts. And it just keeps growing. And hopefully pretty soon we'll eventually have 40,000 people signed up, right? But that's the goal.
That's my job.
Great.
Well, Captain, you mentioned blasting there. I want to say real quick that our elected body, we get a lot of complaints about the blasting because, some of the development, Wills County's got a lot of rock in it, as everybody knows. The city has no control over the blasting laws in the state of Tennessee. Those are regulated by the state. With that said, though, I want to give our commission kudos, because they're trying to figure out a way now to have these developments when they come in, that on the front end, they agree to either do something totally different, like maybe using, jackhammers and things of that nature with the rock, or using smaller shots. That way they commit to doing it on the front end, and it makes it part of their plan unit development, part of their PUD. I think we had a project came through recently, so I want to give the commission, that's thinking outside the box stuff. That's really good. And with all the growth that we're having, we totally understand that if all of a sudden you've got blast every other day near your home and it's rattling things, that you're worried about your foundation and walls cracking and things of that nature, is that the commission here is listening, the staff's listening. We can't change the state law, but yet we can do some things that's creative in-house. So big shout out to our elected body on that one. I think that's a good move in the right direction.
Yeah.
Same with burning. Same with, when they do the burning, the mass clearing on some of these developments, that they've got to do that a little bit different way. We can't control that either, but there's things we can do creatively inside to get the buy-in of the developers when they come in. And once they commit to it, then they have to do it.
Yeah, very cool. I think the community will be happy with that. So the rumble is not as great.
Mm-hmm.
They don't feel like the house is falling down on top of them when there's a blasting that's happening out there. So good. On upcoming events, Christmas parade still on, right, Justin? And then there's going to be a tree lighting ceremony, and also we'll do another holiday lights contest throughout the community. I know that those announcements are coming, so just folks stay tuned for that, coming from our Parks Department. Also, Justin will be putting out there about the Christmas parade, that tree lighting ceremony, and then the holiday lights contest. The city did it for the first time last year. It was called Lights of Joy Across Mount Juliet, where community members and businesses could submit their business, as an applicant to be judged on their Christmas light decorations. And I think we had quite a bit, over 100 folks enter that. It was super nice. We put out a map out to the community for folks to go out and ride around and see all the lights that were entered. And then, folks were voted on and won awards out of that were announced at the tree lighting ceremony. So just look forward to that. And if you like to decorate your home, start getting your supplies now and planning it out, because there's going to be another holiday lights contest coming.
Yeah, we'll build on that event from last year for sure. And as soon as it gets cold, my calendar turns to Christmas. I know a lot of people want to see Halloween and then go to Christmas. We'll get stuff out about the Christmas stuff as soon as we get all of our ducks in a row. It's a timely process, but we definitely want to. You can never plan too early for Christmas. What is it? Christmas in July? Some people do. So, we'll have Christmas here. And in fact, the tree was out of the Christmas tree store last week in September. So we'll get it started as early as possible here in Mount Juliet.
And every time I drive by that Christmas store, I haven't been in it yet for some reason, but I should. But I drive by, I see the decorations, and it just makes me happy, right? Christmas is a happy time. It's nice to look over and just see all that. So I'm glad the Christmas store is in town. I truly hope they're successful.
Bring a lot of joy to people for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's get to some questions. And folks, if you have questions, type those in the comments, and I'm going to scroll through here and just try to find some that we haven't answered to try and display on the screen here. And I think, Rich, I see you left one here for us about the clearing over at Golden Bear, just north of I-40. What is that? And that's the Legacy Point. You mentioned, Kenny, that mixed use development that's coming in, and I think there'll be some Class A office.
It will be.
All the way down to retail and restaurants, right?
Yep. And the gentleman's doing it, the same gentleman that built all the buildings you see right there to the Mountain Chamber of Commerce and all that. It's the same developer. He also did a lot of the medical office buildings you see on Hartman Drive in Lebanon. Mm-hmm. He's top shelf. He's a local resident. They do really good work. It's going to be a beautiful development. It won't be anything intrusive like you would think of, that maybe that some would feel like was over the top, like industrial or distribution or anything like that. It'll be classy, Class A type buildings, beautiful buildings. And we're hoping to attract some really nice retailers there. And he's been working on this project for a long time, and got a local engineer that is working that project. So I'm very excited about that.
Great. Question on infrastructure, a traffic signal. Looks like on Providence Parkway at the Kroger. I guess there were some plans maybe at some point a roundabout, but they decided it was too close for a roundabout, maybe a traffic signal.
It is. And that's a great question. As a matter of fact, all we're waiting on that is the Kroger to sign off on it. The funding is there. I think the engineering's been done. That's a city street. So as far as it being held up by any other organizations or agencies, that's all we're waiting on is Kroger. And last time I talked to Mr. Barrow and Mr. White, they were trying to get that information from Kroger. So really it's them. But I will say, and I hope I'm pronouncing that name right, it's Bashoy, is that when they do the new road improvements across the street, he'll definitely like that, because if you're coming off of Providence Parkway to get to Mount Juliet Road, you'll be able to go straight in the future and take you straight to Central Pike. And what we're hoping that'll do is free up some traffic on Mount Juliet Road that now turns north and then turns left onto Adams Lane to go west.
Okay, gotcha. Great. And just a comment from Judy. She's blessed to live in such a wonderful community. Just thanking us for everything we do. So Judy, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. And Tanya, who you're talking about earlier, she's an 8-year breast cancer survivor. And, Kenny, we're going to announce it later today, but our officers are going to have pink badges on their outer carrier vests. So when they see our officers wearing the outer carrier vest, the normal patrol officers, and if I put my vest on, you see a pink badge on that vest, and that started. So,
hey, Miss Tanya will love this. Check this out.
Let's see that.
There's 2 different ones.
Oh, very cool.
There's that. I don't know if you can see that on the back or not.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, let me show you this. This is their other version. So I know that this is what the fire department is doing. They have that and that.
Very cool. Very, very cool.
So just try to do something. And thank goodness Miss Tanya is a survivor, and we're blessed to have her. And that is a absolutely beautiful picture, and love her, like I said, her little frame. So yeah, we need to be aware, and that thank goodness for the survivors, and encourage people to get exams.
Yeah, absolutely. I was reading some stuff before, as I was researching this recently, and 1 in 8 women are impacted with breast cancer. And you got to think most families probably had some type of impact with someone in their family or friend or loved one with those numbers. And even men can get it. 1 in 1,000 men can get breast cancer. So I thought that was an interesting thing too. So there's a lot of different things out there, and with COVID recently, and that's kind of been the dominating talk of health that the past year. It's you kind of forget everything else that's happening, right? And you don't want to forget that. You always want to be mindful that everything else is still out there that you have to keep a watch on. So Robert here asking about Don Poncho maybe under new ownership and a new name.
I did not, and I wasn't aware of that. So Robert, thank you so much. I mean, we love our Don Poncho, and I didn't know that, but I hope that that's a good thing, to whoever's bought that, and is excited about moving it forward. And if he happens to know the name and he wants to share that with us, that'd be great too.
Yeah, absolutely, Robert. If you have that, just chime on in. We'll get it displayed. Karen here just shouting out about, yes, it makes her smile with the little Christmas tree there. So
it does. Yeah.
Good deal.
Especially with all the stress that's going on in the world, and things of that nature. And we're all dealing with this pandemic and COVID, and a lot of us have lost loved ones, and my mom and dad just got over COVID. I had a couple of grandbabies that had COVID. My daughter-in-law, you name it. And we're going to continue to pray for not only just our community and our city, but our country. And hate that folks are dealing with that. We've got coworkers here that have been sick. We've got coworkers, family members that have been sick, and a lot of stress in the world. So we want to do everything we can to create as perfect as a city as we can for that tranquility that we mentioned. And some smiles. So sometimes if you see that we do something, Captain, I got to talk about this just real quick. I know I'm going over, but the little display that everybody sees up by the truck display that's in your background picture there, that little pavilion that was built that way, but so that a young man and his father could partner for him to get his Eagle Scout rank. And so what that little pavilion is basically a tribute to the 3 people that lost their life in the tornado. And it's a place where folks can just go to reflect, relax, and maybe even have your lunch. There's a little picnic table under there. So I want to give out a shout out to Hutton Wall and his daddy, who's worked hard on that. He raised all the money for that. And he built that with his own hands.
Wow.
If people see that and wonder what it is and why it's slanted the way it is on the front, that's an engineering style. It's pointed that way so that and the roof is slanted so that it sort of protects you if you're sitting there from the westerly sun and the heat of the day. And so it's a specific Eagle Scout project. So what I love about our cities, when you see these things, sometimes you go, well, what is that? And you wonder is that there's lots of young men and young ladies that we try to help fulfill these accomplishments, and we have a big relationship with Eagle Scouts in particular. So a lot of things you see and drive by during the day here in our own little city were built by fathers and sons and their Eagle Scout children, or scouts and Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, you name it. And I love stuff like that. So when you see that and you wonder why something's done or why it was built, is we're trying to, it's like the piano pavilion. Coming up to this Zoom call that we're on now, the Live with Kenny, there was a group of people up at the little piano up there at Robinson Park. I love stuff like that. Or
Right.
A couple of days ago, the volleyball court at Jones Park was full of people enjoying themselves. And I know that it makes you guys feel great to know that people have a place just that you think of as community, when I know of all the stresses they're dealing with. So we're praying for everybody, and we're doing everything we can to make this a place to where it's one less thing you got to worry about.
Hey, all good stuff. Mount Juliet is such a beautiful community. All it takes is going to drive somewhere else. Just leave the city limits, and you kind of see the difference. And it's just nice to always come back to Mount Juliet and see how beautiful it is. I know a lot of hard work goes into that, but also our community is a big impact on how beautiful it is and how safe it is. And it's really, on the overall aspect of it, it's a total citywide effort from community to, government. It really keeps this place so nice. All right, good deal. Well, I don't have anything else. We're at about 41 minutes. So Justin, have anything we missed or you want to say before we go?
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Nextdoor. We have your best interest. We're going to let you know about everything. And we've got a lot of cool things planned to highlight a lot of different departments and it's great because I don't know as much about these departments just being a citizen, wherever you live. So I'm learning this as I go, and I can tell that story from the perspective of somebody at home that might not realize what all goes on behind the scenes. So I'm certainly enjoying it, and I think people at home will enjoy it too. These videos will be 1 to 2 minutes, certainly deserving of your time. And then when you see those people out in public, you can thank them for their hard work that they do. So it's very cool to see how everything works behind the scenes. And it's just a great team of leadership and a great team of everybody that's involved on all the teams that are making Mount Juliet what it is.
All right, very cool. What about you, Kenny? Any parting words?
Yep, I want to say, Captain, I want to thank you because you've sort of been our public information officer, mainly for the police department. You've done so many sidebar projects, including like what you're doing today for me. And I want to tell you thank you because I know you're going to be a good mentor for Justin and you guys, because Justin's goal is to try to promote all the other departments. Captain Tanner will still be our public information officer for our emergency services, and he helps with the fire and to a big degree. So nothing in that's going to change. Justin's going to complement what Tyler does and vice versa. And I just want to thank you because I know you were very instrumental in our interview process and our review process. And I think we picked a good one in Justin. And I think that your leadership, Captain, and sort of showing him the ropes of some of the things you've been so creative with. So I wanted to thank you for that and just thank you for what you do. We hadn't had these in a while.
Yeah.
And that was my fault. Everybody's just been so busy. So hopefully you'll start seeing these more often. And I want to thank both of you because that's what you two guys are so good at. I'm a little bit older and I'm not as good at those kind of things. And we just want to keep our citizens informed, encourage them if they've got any questions, any ideas, something that we're doing great, let us know. Something that we can do better, let us know on that. But just know that we're trying to seek perfection.
Absolutely. So it's great. And I'm so glad that the city has someone like Justin on board to help spread the good word, because it's so important, because there's so much good that happens in our community. And it really, all the good overshadows the small bits and pieces of bad that may break its way through. So glad you're here, Justin, and just hang on, because it's always a fun ride.
Thank you, fellas. That's all I wanted to be.
Especially this past week for PD. It was a wild ride for us.
Hey, kudos to the police department.
Yeah.
Phenomenal work.
Yeah, we got amazing police officers that get out there every single day. And what folks don't realize that me, the public face, and doing the media type stuff, it's about 10% of what I do. So it's super helpful to have Justin on board to really take the city stuff and run with it. So great, and be a lot better and more of it, which our community deserves.
That's right.
All right, folks. Well, have a wonderful weekend. It's beautiful out there. And if there's anything you need at all, hey, you got Justin to reach out to now. I want to advertise his cell phone
Open
number, but I'm
inbox.
not going to.
Yeah, 24/7, especially like about 3 in the morning.
Yeah, 24/7. Hit them up.
Yeah.
Folks, have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Please reach out if you need anything at all. And thank you for joining our broadcast. We'll see you later.